Imagine your parents just bought a brand new car. Would they immediately take it on a 10,000-mile cross-country road trip without driving it around the block a few times first? Probably not. Artemis 2 is NASA's version of that quick trip around the block. It's a 10-day flight around the moon, designed to make sure everything works perfectly before anyone actually tries to land there. And the vehicle they are taking is absolutely massive. This is the Space Launch System, or SLS rocket, and it was built by engineers from across all 50 states. Just look at the sheer scale of that enormous orange center core and the two white boosters strapped to the sides. Way up at the top is the Orion crew capsule. The astronauts have named this specific capsule Integrity, and it's where they'll actually live. Right above it sits the Launch Abort System, which works like a giant emergency eject seat if anything goes wrong on the pad. NASA already flew this exact rocket design once, completely empty, and it worked beautifully. But putting actual people inside changes the math. The stakes are entirely different now. Try to picture 4 people sharing a room roughly the size of a minivan for 10 straight days. Now, picture that minivan flying hundreds of thousands of miles away from Earth. Leading this tight-knit crew is Commander Reed Wiseman, a veteran Navy pilot. He's joined by expert test pilot Victor Glover, who will essentially be the driver for the mission. Rounding out the team are 2 mission specialists, Christina Koch, an electrical engineer who holds the record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman, and Jeremy Hansen, a Canadian pilot taking his very first trip into space. These 4 individuals are the ultimate test subjects. Their primary job is to endure this journey, run the hardware to its limits, and prove that humans can survive this exact flight in the future. The trip starts at Florida's Launch Pad 39B. To pull a space away from Earth's gravity, the rocket has to generate a tremendous amount of power, burning through huge amounts of fuel in seconds. This animated diagram breaks down how the rocket sheds its own massive weight. Empty fuel tanks just slow a ship down, so at 2 minutes into the flight, the rocket drops those 2 white rockets on the sides and lets them fall away. 8 minutes in, that giant orange center section runs out of fuel too, so the rocket drops that as well, leaving only a small upper section behind. That tiny remaining piece has a small booster engine of its own. It fires up to give the capsule the final critical push it needs to reach Earth's orbit safely. To get just that small passenger cabin into space, a rocket has to burn up and discard almost its entire body. It's a brutal reality of physics, but it's the only way off the planet. Before heading for the moon, the crew runs a practice session right over Earth. They'll test the steering thrusters and run docking maneuvers. Think of it like testing a car's brakes and steering wheel in an empty parking lot before you get on the highway. Once everything checks out, the engines fire one last time to shoot the capsule out of Earth orbit. This begins their 4-day cruise through deep space. During those 4 days, the crew has to test how daily chores work in zero gravity. They'll practice hydrating freeze-dried food, they'll use a special space toilet, and exercise on a rowing machine to keep their muscles from weakening. They also run emergency drills. Deep space is flooded with intense radiation from the sun, so the astronauts must retreat to an onboard shelter and test if it actually shields them during a solar weather event. Before we can send people on longer trips to Mars or beyond, we have to know for absolute certain that basic human needs, like eating, sleeping, and staying safe from radiation, function perfectly under extreme conditions. Because this is a test drive, the astronauts will not be landing on the moon. Instead, they will travel 230,000 miles to swing around its far side. They'll do this using a specific path called a free return trajectory. This animated map shows how it works. You can see the figure-8 flight path leaving Earth, looping tightly around the back of the moon and pointing straight back home. Think of it like throwing a cosmic boomerang. Earth's gravity slings them outward, and then the moon's gravity acts like a giant U-turn track. It catches the spacecraft and naturally whips it right back toward Earth. This setup is incredibly smart. Even if the spaceship's engines completely break down out there in the dark, gravity alone will safely carry the astronauts all the way home. No extra burns required. When you are putting human lives inside a brand new machine, using the laws of physics as your built-in emergency backup is the smartest way to conduct a test drive. As they whip around the far side of the moon, the crew will get a reward. Out their window, they will see a view of Earth that no human has laid eyes on in half a century. From there, it's a 4-day ride back. Right before they hit our atmosphere, the capsule drops its heavy service engine room. Only the small Integrity living quarters will make the fiery plunge. The capsule will push through re-entry, pop open its massive parachutes, and splash down safely into the Pacific Ocean, where the U.S. Navy will be waiting to pull them out. Those 10 days in space will prove if this entire system is truly safe. And once Artemis 2 clears the path, the very next launch can focus on the ultimate goal: putting humans back on the surface of the moon.